gratitude and sincere appreciation to the most venerable monks for the sermons, religious blessings, and spiritual nourishment they will enrich us with today. I also extend my thanks to the honorable ministers, the President of the General Assembly, and the Secretary General of the UN for their participation in today's Vesak observances. I think it part of my obligations that I piously recall with gratitude the initiative of the late Foreign Minister of Sri Lanka, the Honorable Lakshman Kadrigama, who in 1999 gave leadership to the noble thought to honor the Lord Buddha and millions of Buddhists the world over by proposing that Vesak be observed as a special day by the United Nations. Excellencies, friends, Lord Buddha's teaching and philosophies are as pertinent today as they were 2,600 years ago, when the Sakya Muni gave his first preaching in Sarnath in North Bodh Gaya. At the root or the essence of Buddhist philosophy is the knowledge and principles to alleviate human suffering. Lord Buddha gave the world a way of life and framework to think critically and look introspectively at oneself to ultimately understand the human condition, to understand humanity and one another better. Excellencies and my dear friends, it is that introspection and true understanding of human condition that we begin to appreciate the humanity, what humanity desires as something common. They desire the same thing. And what are they? Simply to put, to limit our sufferings, wish for peace and happiness and contentment. The principles of Buddhism show that hatred, violence, ego, and selfishness play no part in the attainment of these basic wishes. It is only what we call metta, contemplations of kindness, mudita, compassion, karuna, sympathetic joy, and upekha, equanimity for our fellow humans that could limit our suffering and bring about peace and joy. Excellencies and friends, while we have made a considerable improvement and advancement in securing equality and rights for marginalized people, advancements in technology and climate advocacy, I'm also woefully aware that we are at a time when serious crisis confronts us and our beliefs. It is my hope and sincere wish that you let the teachings and principles of the Gautama you hear today guide you and motivate you to move forward as a more equal, compassionate, kind, and empathetic global community, the very cornerstone of multilateralism in the United Nations. Excellencies and friends, let me finally leave you with the saying of the Lord Buddha, quote, "Just as treasures are uncovered from the earth, so virtue appears from good deeds and wisdom appears from a pure and personal, peaceful mind. To walk safely through the maze of human life, one needs the light of wisdom and the guidance of virtue. May the blessings of the noble Triple Gem be with you all." Thank you.
Thank you very much, Ambassador Mohan. To begin our event today with the high-level segment, I have the honor and pleasure to invite His Excellency Mr. Volkan Bozkir, President of the 75th session of the General Assembly, to address us on this auspicious commemoration through a video message.
Your Excellencies, ladies and gentlemen, I would like to thank the permanent missions of Thailand and Sri Lanka for the opportunity to commemorate the International Day of Vesak with you today. The General Assembly recognized the contribution that Buddhism, one of the world's oldest religions, continues to make to the spirituality of humanity to the adoption of Resolution 54/115 in 1999. As we continue to tackle the greatest crisis in the United Nations history, the COVID-19 pandemic, we would do well to incorporate greater compassion, wisdom, and humanity into our efforts to recover from the pandemic. This includes our efforts to ensure that there is equitable access to the vaccine. We have the tools to beat this devastating virus. Yet, at this moment, only 0.3% of all vaccines have been given to low-income countries. We must ensure they are deployed fairly, so we can fight this virus as one. Excellencies, let this year's Vesak Day serve as a timely reminder of our joint humanity and collective togetherness. Let this spirit guide our work here at the United Nations and beyond. I thank you.
Thank you very much for your remarks, President Boskia. I now have the honor to invite His Excellency, Mr. Don Poromatvinai, Deputy Prime Minister and Minister for Foreign Affairs of the Kingdom of Thailand, for his video message.
Venerable monks, President of the General Assembly, Secretary General, Honorable Foreign Minister of Sri Lanka, His Excellency Mr. Tinet Chandra Rupasinghe Kun Pantena, Excellencies, ladies and gentlemen, I'm honored to be a part of this auspicious Vesak Day commemoration event. I wish to express my high reverence to the venerable monks from different Buddhist communities and extend my greetings to all those who have gathered virtually or otherwise to celebrate the International Day of Vesak 2021 at the United Nations headquarters. May I also thank the Permanent Mission of Sri Lanka for co-hosting this significant event with the Permanent Mission of Thailand. Vesak is the most sacred day for millions of Buddhists around the world. It's a day to revere the birth, enlightenment, and parinirvana of the Lord Buddha. It's a day to reflect on the actions and teachings of the Lord Buddha and their implications for all of us. And it's a day to contemplate the 10 perfections of generosity, moral conduct, renunciation, wisdom, energy, tolerance, truthfulness, determination, loving kindness, and equanimity. In our contemplation, I would like to ask that today we each take a moment to share our compassion with our brothers and sisters in Nepal and India, where the Buddha was born, attained enlightenment, and passed into parinirvana. Let us pray that the international efforts to deliver COVID-19 reliefs will in some way help alleviate their sufferings. Although more than 2,500 years have passed since the parinirvana of the Lord Buddha, Dhamma remains relevant and continues to resonate in the minds of people across the world, especially during these turbulent times that we are living in. The spirit of Dhamma keeps our feet on the ground. To me, Buddhism's greatest contribution is its balanced approach. It's an approach where we avoid taking extreme positions and appreciate that truth and solutions lie somewhere in the middle or in the middle path. The concept of middle path in Buddhism is also reflected in the sufficiency economy philosophy, or SEP, developed by His Majesty the late King Pujanadunya through 3 principles: moderation, reasonableness, and self-immunity. The philosophy encourages society and nature to live in harmony, which is an important element in achieving sustainability and the attainment of the Sustainable Development Goals. Along with SEP, Thailand has been exploring the biocircular green or BCG economic model to pursue a middle path for balanced economic growth, where profit-making will not destroy the planet. And for this reason, Thailand will continue to foster cooperation in the context of the SAP for SDGs partnership and the BCG model with the world. Excellencies, ladies and gentlemen, it is times of hardship. The teachings of the Lord Buddha, namely compassion and solidarity, became even more relevant and inspirational. The COVID-19 pandemic has highlighted inequalities within and among nations. To respond to this unprecedented crisis will require collective actions driven by compassion and solidarity, and every country must renew its trust in international cooperation, and the world must be united as one. It's more crucial than ever for all of us here at the UN today to live up to our people's expectations and to promote values of peace, inclusiveness, and compassion, as well as to conduct our policies in a spirit of cooperation, not confrontation. And with hope and mindfulness, the global community can then rediscover its resilience and promote the peaceful coexistence of all beings. I hope today's Vesak Day event will serve as a reminder for all of us to reflect on ourselves and further reinforce our collective commitment to build back better from the pandemic. May the spirit of the Buddha keep all of us safe and sane, more determined than ever to work our way back to a healthier, more inclusive, resilient, equitable, and sustainable world. Thank you very much, and happy Vesak Day.
May I thank His Excellency Don Pramod Vinay, the Deputy Prime Minister and the Foreign Minister of Thailand, for his words of wisdom. May I now proceed to call upon the Honorable Dinesh Gunawardena, the Foreign Minister of Sri Lanka, who has honored us with, on this blessed occasion, with a video message. Honorable Minister.
Venerable Mahasangha, respected religious dignitaries, His Excellency Antonio Guterres, Secretary General of the United Nations, His Excellency Volkan Bozkır, President of the General Assembly, Excellencies, ladies and gentlemen, dear friends of the Dhamma, I am indeed pleased to join you today from Sri Lanka to celebrate this most sacred day for Buddhists the world over. Today is a day for the whole humanity to observe, as Buddhism is considered with the most precious aspects of spiritual, philosophical, ethical, intellectual, cultural, artistic, and social heritage of the entire humankind. The full moon day of Vesak marks the birth, enlightenment, and passing away of the Buddha, as thrice blessed events occurred on the full moon day in the month of May. Therefore, today is also celebrated by 1/5 of the world's population as the 2610th anniversary of the birth of Buddha. Today we mark 21st anniversary of the international recognition of the day of Vesak by the United Nations. It is heartening to see the most sacred day, a fifth of the world's population, being celebrated and appreciated by the UN global community. In this light, I pay a tribute to the late Honorable Lakshman Kadragama, who in his capacity as Minister of Foreign Affairs, Sri Lanka, took the initiative and proposed in 1999 at the 54th General Assembly that the UN honor the Buddha by observing the day of Vesak as a special day. I extend my appreciation to the Venerable Mahasangha and other religious dignitaries for participating at this significant and sacred commemoration. Buddhism is a philosophy that espouses living a noble life, a life that follows the middle path and the devoted of excessive pleasure and excessive sorrow. It is in following the middle path, Madhyama Pratipadahava, that will help us realize the true nature of things and shed the ignorance that fuels our anger, ego, and jealousy. The Buddha teachings are not confined to caste, gender, or nationality. They are universal principles and teachings available to all. Just as enlightenment and truth is a blessing for all, an ethos that is reflected in the Universal Declaration of Human Rights. The principles and wisdom of Buddhism are ingrained in very culture and values of Sri Lanka. From the sacred bo tree in Anuradhapura to the temple of the sacred tooth lake in Kandy, and to the temple caves of Damul, to the offering during harvest seasons or Buddhism's influence on the formation of old kingdoms, we can see the impact of value Buddhism has had on Sri Lankan culture and belief since its introduction to the island 2,600 years ago. Even after 2,600 and more years, teachings of the Buddha continues to be sought after in today's modern world for the great wisdom and the deep values it instills. Even more as Buddhism shows path to ease stress, assures tranquility, and brings serenity in the minds of today's troubled world. Buddhism recognizes that all religions share the same aim of working for well-being of mankind. Everywhere Buddhism traveled, it never tried to replace whatever belief systems or practices which existed prior to its coming. With ease of tolerance and accommodation, Buddhism took in and understood all that was of value in every culture. As we look to emerge from the COVID-19 pandemic and focus on rebuilding our nations and our global community, I believe teachings of the Buddha will surely guide us. We are facing unprecedented times that are stress for us all, a time that challenges our relationship, and we have witnessed globally situations of anger and hostility. We must reject hate and ensure that there is no room for it in our responses. This is why the Buddha taught us that the goal and the very purpose of one's existence is to serve for the benefit of others. Paratham Patipajata. Let me conclude with the noble words of Buddha. Sabbityo vivajantu, sabba rogo vinasatu, mate bhavantrayo, sukhi dighaito bhava. May all misfortunes be avoided. May all sickness be healed. May no dangers befall on you. May you live long and happy. May blessings of the noble triple gem be with you all.
I thank the Honorable Minister for his insightful message. May I now proceed to have the honor and the pleasure to invite His Excellency Antonio Guterres, Secretary General of the United Nations, for his video message. Secretary General.
I send my warmest greetings to Buddhists all over the world on Vesak, when we honor the birth, enlightenment, and passing of Lord Buddha. Today, we recognize the contributions Buddhism has made to human spirituality and culture for more than 2.5 millennia. All of us, Buddhists and non-Buddhists alike, can find inspiration in the Buddha's message of honesty, compassion, and respect for all living things. As we face the lasting impact of the COVID-19 pandemic, it is clearer than ever that humility and deep empathy are essential to our well-being and that of our planet. On this day of Vesak, let's resolve to build lives of peace and dignity for all on a healthy planet.
May I thank the Secretary General for his valuable reflection. May I now proceed to introduce the Venerable Monks. On this auspicious day of celebrating the International Day of Vesak, allow me to most respectfully and humbly request the Venerable Mahasangha to conduct religious blessings according to the Theravada tradition, followed by the invocation of blessings according to the Mahayana tradition. For the Theravada tradition, we are honored to have blessings from Staten Island Buddhist Vihara, a prominent Sri Lankan temple in New York. The blessing is led by the Venerable Hinbune Kondanja Thera. For the Mahayana tradition, we have a compilation of blessings from Reverend Dr. T. Kenjitsu Nakagaki of the Haiwa Peace and Reconciliation Foundation in New York, the Venerable Ming Yu of the American Buddhist Confederation, and Venerable Gikwang of the Korean Buddhist Wankaksa. Can I please ask the Venerable Theras to begin the discourse?
Very blessed Vesak Day to all of you. Today, the day that we, all around the world, in the Buddhist world, people celebrate Buddha's birth, enlightenment, and passing away. Triple holy day of Buddha's life. So he was teaching to bring blessing to the world. All this teaching is still valid, and we wish people around the world, all the beings, that people going through the pandemic situation right now, so may all be well, happy, and peaceful. May they recover soon from their difficult experiences. Wishing so on this Vesak Day, we monks at the Staten Island Buddhist Vihara like to wish all of you well-being, peace, and happiness. So we chant the sutras of blessing, Metta Sutta. Namo tassa bhagavato arahato samma sambuddhassa. Namo tassa bhagavato arahato samma sambuddhassa. Namo tassa bhagavato arahato samma sambuddhassa. Karaniya matta kusalena yantang santang padang abhisamecce sakko ujuca sujuca suvaco cassa mudu anatimani santussa koca subharoca appakiccoca sallavka buddhi santindriyoca nipakoca appagabbo kulesu ananugindo naca buddhan samacare kinciyena vinyu pare upavadeyung sukhino va kemino hontu sabbe satta bhavantu sukhitatta yeke chipana bhutatti tasava tavarava anavasesa digava ye mahantava majjima rassa kanukatura ditthava ye varandittha ye ca dure vasanti avidure bhutava sambhavesi va sabbe satta bhavantu sukhitatta naparo parang nikubbete nati manyete katta dinam kanchi vyarosana patiga sanyānānya manyassa dukkhamicchaya mātā yathāniyam puttang āyusā eka putta manurakke evampi sabba bhūtesu māna sambhāvaye aparimanam mettanca sabba lokasmin māna sambhāvaye aparimanam uddhang adoca tiriyanca asambādang averang asapattang tittang charan nisinno vāsayano vāyāvatassa vigatamindo etang sating aditteya brahmametang vihārang idamāhu dittinca anupagamma sīlavā dassanena sampanno kāmesu vinayya gedang naijātu gabba seyyang punareti etena sacca vajjena sabba dukkhang vinassatu etena sacca vajjena sabba bhayang vinassatu etena sacca vajjena sabba rogo විනස්සතු භවතු සම්බ මංගලම් රක්ඛන්තු සබ්බ දේවතා සබ්බ බුද්ධානුභාවේන සදා සොත්ති භවන්තු තේ භවතු සබ්බ මංගලම් රක්ඛන්තු සබ්බ දේවතා සබ්බ ධම්මානුභාවේන සදා සොත්ති භවන්තු තේ භවතු සබ්බ මංගලම් රක්ඛන්තු සබ්බ දේවතා සබ්බ සංඝානුභාවේන සදා සොත්ති භවන්තු තේ.
We are going to offer the Mahayana chanting from Chinese, Korean, and Japanese tradition.
大家好，我叫明宇，来自中国，现在住在纽约。
안녕하십니까. 저는 지광 스님입니다. 저는 한국 스님입니다.
こんにちは、中垣です。日本の仏教を代表して今日は、ご一緒させていただきます。Thank you. Happy Vesak Day. My name is Reverend Dr. T.K. Nakagaki. I'm from Japanese Buddhist tradition. 人参受けがたし今すでに受く仏法聞きがたし今すでに聞く好み根性に向かってどせずんばさらにいずれの章に向かってか好みをどせん大衆もろともに指針に参謀に消えし立てまつるべしなもきえぶ
Happy birthday to Buddha. My name is Meiyu. Namo 本师释迦牟尼佛。Namo 本师释迦牟尼佛。Namo 本师释迦牟尼佛。我今观于诸如来尽知庄严功德具，无作众生尽力垢，同证如来尽法身。唵地萨地萨僧祇娑诃。唵地萨地萨僧祇娑诃。唵地萨地萨僧祇娑诃。Buddha bless everyone.
Hello, I am Venerable Ji Huang. I belong to Korean Buddhism of Mahayana tradition. 중생 무변 선두 번뇌 무지인 선단 법문무량 서원하 불도 부상 서원성 0. Happy Vesak Day!
I thank the Venerable Mahasangha for their blessings. Next, we will be viewing sermons from Mahasangha from Thailand and Sri Lanka. First, we will be listening to Venerable Pate Pachaya Muni or Venerable Ajahn Chiya Saro, who is originally from the United Kingdom, but has taken the journey on Buddhism in Thailand since the 1970s. Venerable Ajahn Chiya Saro is one of Thailand's most renowned monks and meditation masters, and is currently living in Hermitage at the front of Khao Yai Mountain National Park in central Thailand. I now respectfully invite Venerable Ajahn Chiya Saro to conduct a sermon through a video message on this special occasion.
So today I'd like to offer a few reflections on the auspicious occasion of Visakha Puja, when Buddhists around the world recollect with joy the birth, the enlightenment, the passing away of the Lord Buddha. So the Buddha's life story doesn't occupy the central position and role that it does in many other religions, but nevertheless there are many lessons to be learned and important principles to be derived from reflecting on these three key events. Of the three, the most important we can probably say is the enlightenment of the Buddha, and the meaning of enlightenment and the significance of it is far beyond the scope of this short speech. But in summary, can say that enlightenment is the state in which all the defilements of the human mind, all the vices, all that sullies and upsets and causes suffering to the human mind are completely eliminated. And in Buddhism, we tend to talk about the things that are no longer there, because it's easier than talking in a positive way about the things that appear on enlightenment, just as it's very difficult to talk about physical health in a positive way. We usually say, well, I don't have this illness, I don't have that illness. Nevertheless, we can say that the three qualities, salient qualities of the Buddha that were so wonderfully expressed throughout the 45 years following his enlightenment until he left the world, are indications of the nature of enlightenment. So the Buddha was one of great wisdom, of great compassion, and of great purity of mind, or inner freedom, we could say. So this is important on many different levels, but as a guide to Buddhists today, then we take enlightenment as the ultimate goal, although it's probably a long way away, but it gives us the possibility, the opportunity to establish like compass points and a direction for our life. So whether we are monastics or lay Buddhists, then our life should be led in the direction of reducing the amount of greed, hatred, and delusion, and increasing the amount of wisdom, compassion, and purity. So in these troubled times that we find ourselves in at present, I think this is a very useful reflection for us. The Buddha's teaching is a very optimistic one, in which it proclaims the potential of human beings, all human beings, male or female, for enlightenment. We all bear within us the potential for enlightenment, and how that manifests in our daily life is the potential to abandon the unwholesome, develop the wholesome, and to purify our minds. So we become truly Buddhist, truly human, to the extent to which we dedicate ourselves to that, and to increase the amount of wisdom in our lives, the amount of compassion, and the amount of purity. So we have the ability to train, to cultivate, to develop ourselves. We are not the prisoners of our past, whether it's measured in terms of past lives or experiences in childhood or even experiences yesterday. We can transcend the conditions with which we find ourselves. And so in the present day, we find many conditions, unpleasant, frightening, provoking of anxiety and fear and so on. But this is the way it is. It's like this. And we only have a limited power to manipulate or to protect ourselves from conditions that we find threatening. But what we can do is to lead our lives in the best possible way. And the engine for that, the most important foundation, is first to establish ourselves in kindness and generosity and sharing with others, because that brings an immediate joy and sense of well-being to our hearts and creates harmony with those around us. To establish ourselves in with ethical principles, to take on voluntarily and understanding the meaning and value of doing so, taking on boundaries to the way that we act and we speak, so as to create a sense of safety in and ease of all those around us. And then, most importantly of all, the cultivation of the heart and mindfulness, being able to bring ourselves back to the present moment, and whatever appears in our minds, whatever experience we have, realizing that we can develop this wisdom and compassion and freedom, not to blindly react to circumstance, but to respond appropriately. And this is the great gift that the Buddha gave the world, and one which we can all inherit and benefit from in our lives these days, and creating happiness and wisdom within ourselves, but also able to share our happiness and benefits that we derive with others. So benefit and happiness for self, benefit and happiness for others. This is the goal of the Dhamma. So I'd like to end my short speech at this point.
Thank you, Venerable Ajahn Jayasaro, for such a pertinent and relevant sermon. May I now proceed to, with great respect and reverence, invite the Venerable Muruddeniye Dharmarathanathera from the Muthiangana Rajamahavihara in Sri Lanka to deliver a sermon on this very auspicious occasion. Reverend Thera.
On this very special day of Vesak celebrations, I am honored to deliver this speech on behalf of the disciples of the Buddha. The Buddha's vision for life is the Noble Eightfold Path. The Noble Eightfold Path divides into three main disciplinary dimensions, namely self-discipline, sila, self-exploration, samadhi, self-realization, prajna. Today, the sila, self-discipline, has a universal application, irrespective of all the segregations like gender, racial, social, etc. We all need to be responsible about the way we behave and the way we communicate interpersonally and intrapersonally. The foundation of universal protection lies within self-discipline. Self can be a person, a country, or a region, whatever the entity. It should be well disciplined. For instance, during the recent COVID-19 pandemic period, it has showcased the importance of self-discipline, physically, verbally, and mentally. Self-discipline is the key to peace, harmony, and personal integrity. Concentration, samadhi, is the second. Personal ability to stay focused to one's feeling, body, mind, and thoughts. Buddhist vision of life encourages us to explore the inner world of life. The external materialistic world is a mere reflection of the inner being. The one who knows more and more about one's inner world knows more about the outer world. Self-exploration starts with meditation. Meditation is the path in which a person can understand life and its connectivity with all beings, living and non-living. Concentration is the main key to develop spiritual intelligence. Nowadays, we cannot go outside. Why don't you go inside? Explore the inner life. Wisdom, prajna, is the understanding of holistic picture of the inner life and outer world as it exists. One's commitment of self-discipline and self-exploration are the causes of self-realization in gaining wisdom. The Buddha's vision for life in the Noble Eightfold Path, which represents self-discipline, self-exploration, and self-realization. We do understand that ignorance is the cause of all problems and sufferings. The Buddha's vision for life through the Noble Eightfold Path directly guides us to the understanding of wisdom and enlightenment. In this very special day, we encourage all of you to be responsible. Please, I humbly request you to cultivate parental qualities towards humanity and the world with loving kindness, sympathetic joy, boldness, and equanimity. No one can save us. You are the savior of your life. All of us together can save the whole world. The moment you look at the world through the lens of a parent, you understand that the rest are all your children. So be it. May all beings be happy and peaceful.
Thank you, Venerable Murudeni Dharmaratana Nayakathero, for that in-depth exposition of the Dhamma. May I now proceed to introduce to you the screening of a video of Vesak celebrations. As you all know, Vesak is a day central to the cultures of both Sri Lanka and Thailand and many other jurisdictions that celebrate Vesak. And it is celebrated locally in many ways, from lanterns illuminating temples, streets, and homes, to the offering of flowers to the Buddha in the temples. I now invite our distinguished participants to view two video screens of Vesak celebrations in Sri Lanka and Thailand that I believe would be very interesting.
Namo tassa bhagavato arahato samma sambuddhassa. Namo tassa bhagavato arahato samma sambuddhassa. Paramita balapurita pujita Buddha divakarayano. Vesak poho din dinu se kalo. Vesak poho din dinu se kalo. Buddha divakarayano. Paramita balapurita pujita Buddha divakarayano. Vesak poho din dinu se kalo. Buddha divakarayano.
තනසෙමු පුතදී මුනිසිපාදේ පිනමු පිනමු බුදු ගුණ මූදේ.
පාරමිතා බලපූරිත පූජිත බුද්ධ දිවාකරයානෝ. වෙසක් පොහෝ දින දිනු සේකලොව බුද්ධ දිවාකරයානෝ.
සංසා මුල්ලොව නිවන් ලබාදී
පුණ්‍ය මහෝදරි ශාන්ත සමාධි.
සංසා මුල්ලොව නිවන් ලබාදී
පුණ්‍ය මහෝදරි ශාන්ත සමාධි.
සංගාමර ගුරු ලෝක ශිවංකර බුද්ධ දිවාකරයානෝ.
සනරාමර ගුරු ලෝක ශිවංකර බුද්ධ දිවාකරයානෝ.
මාර පරාජය කරමු නිදුන්ගේ මාර පරාජය කරමු නිදුන්ගේ කරුණා සීතල මෙත්සාරා දරාවසි තුන්ලෝ තලයේ දුක් ගිමන් නිවා අමසෙත සාදා.
උතුරස් කැටිවී නැගී ආලෝකේ විසයයි දුකඳුරු මුළු තුන් ලෝකේ. උතුරස් කැටිවී නැගී ආලෝකේ විසයයි දුකඳුරු මුළු තුන් ලෝකේ. පාරමිතා බලපූරිත පූජිත බුද්ධ දිවාකරයානෝ. වෙසක් පොහෝ දින දිනු සේකලොව බුද්ධ දිවාකරයානෝ.
In the year 1999, the United Nations General Assembly adopted a resolution that the day of Vesak, which marked the birth, the enlightenment, and the passing away of the Buddha, be celebrated at the United Nations headquarters in New York and at its branch offices around the world. Since the year 2000, on a full moon day in the month of May, Buddhist countries have joined in the commemorative event at the United Nations headquarters. Thailand had the honor of hosting the event in New York in the year 2004. The Buddhists in Asia Pacific countries founded the International Council for the Day of Vesak, ICDevi, with its secretariat located at Mahachulalongkorn Rajavitiyalaya University in Thailand. From my eyes, I can see the galaxy of Sankharaja, the supreme patriarchs, Mahanayakas, Buddhist leaders and scholars. We are here to celebrate the Vesak Day, to commemorate the Buddha's birth, enlightenment, and parinirvana. The International Council for the Day of Vesak has been in charge of coordinating activities of Vesak Celebration at the United Nations Regional Center called UNSCAP in Thailand over the last 16 years. The International Council for the Day of Vesak has provided an international platform for all Buddhists to work together during Vesak celebration in 4 areas. Number 1, sustainable development. Number 2, climate change. Number 3, education. Number 4, peace building.
Excellencies, ladies and gentlemen, we will now proceed with statements by the participating member states. First, I would like to invite Her Excellency Ms. Doma Schering, Ambassador and Permanent Representative of Bhutan to the United Nations, to deliver her remarks.
Thank you. Venerable members of the Sangha, Excellencies, ladies and gentlemen, dear friends, allow me to convey the greetings of His Majesty the King of Bhutan, as well as the good wishes of the royal government and the Bhutanese people as we commemorate the International Day of Vesak at the United Nations. I thank Ambassador Perez of Sri Lanka and Ambassador Shivihok of Thailand for providing opportunity for the UN family to mark this important occasion. Bhutan is the world's last remaining Vajrayana Buddhist country. Buddhism and the noble teachings of the Buddha have had a deep influence on the cultural identity of our nation and permeates nearly all aspects of daily life in Bhutan. Today, while Bhutan is predominantly a Buddhist country, our constitution enshrines freedom of religion, guaranteeing that Bhutanese of all faiths continue to flourish in the spirit of tolerance, mutual understanding, and harmony. Vesak is known in Bhutan as Duchen Ngazom. In keeping with the Bhutanese lunar calendar, it will this year be observed on the 26th of May, which is tomorrow. The day will provide individuals and families opportunity to engage in prayer, offer gifts to show respect and gratitude for the Buddha's life and teachings. In these challenging times, the Buddha's teachings provided much needed comfort to the Bhutanese people and to Buddhists all over the world. They continue to serve as a constant source of inspiration and strength, and together with guidance from science, have contributed to shaping Bhutan's approach and response measures to the pandemic. This year, although we celebrate Vesak differently because of the COVID-19 pandemic, it is an important reminder that we can all put Buddha's teachings into practice in our daily lives and help build a better, more open and inclusive world. we are reminded of the importance of the Buddha's universal teachings of peace, selfless service, and compassion to those in need. The last year and a half have been a time to see these teachings put into practice as we take care of one another during the pandemic, and at the United Nations, join hands to strengthen solidarity and our collective action to put the world on the path of much needed healing, recovery, and resilience. We hope that the universal messages of compassion, mindfulness, and tolerance may offer inspiration as we look at means of recovery and rebuilding a post-COVID world that is peaceful, inclusive, and more resilient and harmonious than before. Thank you.
Ambassador Sherwin for her important remarks. And now, pleased to invite His Excellency Mr. Sowan Kai, Ambassador and Permanent Representative of Cambodia to the United Nations for his remark. Floor is yours.
Thank you. Most venerable monks, Excellency, and distinguished guests. At the outset, I would like to express my sincere appreciation to Ambassador Witawas Sriwihok, Permanent Representative of Thailand to the United Nations, and Ambassador Mohan Piris, Permanent Representative of Sri Lanka to the United Nations, for organizing the commemoration of the International Day of Vesak today. We are very grateful to the venerable monks for chanting their blessing and for their sermon on this auspicious occasion. We acknowledge the Vesak message delivered by the President of the General Assembly, the Secretary General of the United Nations, Honorable Deputy Prime Minister of Thailand, and Honorable Foreign Minister of Sri Lanka. Since the year 2000, after the General Assembly Resolution 54/115 was adopted on 15 December 1999, it has been a privilege for members to commemorate the International Day of Vesak at the United Nations, which is the holiest and the most important day in the Buddhist calendar. Vesak Buchias fall in the full moon day in April or May according to the lunar calendar, and it is celebrated by millions of Buddhists around the world on different dates due to diverse Buddhist cultures and traditions. This memorable day signifies Gautama Buddha's birth, enlightenment, and attainment of nirvana. Every year in Cambodia, the Cambodian people celebrate Vesak Buchia. Due to the COVID-19 pandemic this year, Vesak activities such as mass gathering in pagoda and temples, holy procession of Buddhist monks chanting around the city have to be cancelled. However, these restrictions do not stop the Cambodian people from giving alms food to the monks, listening to Buddhist sermon online, and chanting at home. Lord Buddha's message of peace, compassion, and love for all living beings tell us to open our hearts and embrace all members of our human family, especially those in need. This timeless teaching can help guide governments around the world and greatly contribute to the work of the United Nations. They can inspire our effort to address many of the broad challenges confronting our world in peace and security, in development, in the protection of our planet, and to rise above the narrow self-interest and think and act as members of one global community. The impacts of COVID-19 remind us that all living beings are subject to illness and suffering. May Lord Buddha's teaching of ahimsa, to never harm others, and leading to right livelihood with right mindfulness be respected and practiced by all of these are powerful implications in today's world. May I wish everyone a happy Vesak. I thank you.
I thank Ambassador Sowan of Cambodia for his important remarks. May I now invite His Excellency Mr. Ichikane Kimihiro, Ambassador and Permanent Representative of Japan to the United Nations to deliver his remark. Floor is yours.
Thank you, Venerable monks, excellencies, dear colleagues. It is a great honor to speak on this occasion of the Vesak Day commemorations. I would like to thank Ambassador C.V. Hawk of Thailand and Ambassador Pieris of Sri Lanka for organizing this event. Well, in Japan, Buddhist temples hold flower festivals to celebrate the birth of the Buddha, fixing the date of April 8th on the solar calendar. The first flower festival in Japan is said to have been held in the year 606, following the introduction of Buddhism to Japan in the mid-6th century. Of course, the manner in which we celebrate may vary, but the day of Vesak always reminds us of the Buddhist teachings and its spirit, including tolerance, harmony, and compassion. As we strive to recover from the human security crisis of pandemic, such attitude will be all the more important. Violent extremism, hated speeches, intolerance, and lack of mutual respect should be normal in a post-COVID-19 world. Japan believes the United Nations can and should play an important role to alleviate such distress and bring peace of mind to people. To conclude, I would like to offer my best wishes to those celebrating the Day of Vesak and express my sincerest hope that this auspicious occasion will renew our commitments and efforts to overcome the global crisis with peace and mutual respect in the heart of every person. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Ambassador Kimihiro, for his remark. I now pleased to invite His Excellency Mr. Enbo Warshaw, Ambassador and Permanent Representative of Mongolia to the United Nations, for his remark. Ambassador, praise you.
Thank you, Ambassador C.V. Hawk. Venerable monks, excellencies, and distinguished guests, ladies and gentlemen. At the outset, I'd like to express my sincere appreciation to the missions of Sri Lanka and Thailand for organizing the International Day of Vesak. Excellencies, we are living at the crucial times in an interdependent and interlinked world. Impermanent by its nature, presenting both massive challenges and enormous opportunities. Even our own perception on progress and failure is also constantly changing. But one thing is clear, every positive change in improving human lives is a progress. The only purpose of our lives is happiness, not suffering. With this very purpose founded our United Nations organization. Global leadership should be based on the wisdom or clear vision to find the solutions to resiliently overcome challenges and effectively exploit opportunities. And our shared responsibilities for the peaceful, equitable, and sustainable societies should be motivated by compassion for our fellow human beings. If wisdom and compassion go in tandem and translated in the right actions, they will impact the lives and well-being of all people. Excellencies, may all sentient beings have happiness and the cause of happiness. Happy Vesak Day. I thank you.
Thank you very much, Ambassador Washilov of Mongolia, for his important remark. I now would like to invite Mr. Amrit Bahadur Rai, Ambassador and Permanent Representative of Nepal to the United Nations, to deliver his remark.
Thank you, Ambassador. Venerable monks, excellencies, and ladies and gentlemen, I'd like to thank the Permanent Mission of Sri Lanka and Thailand for organizing this auspicious event to commemorate the International Day of Vesak, the day on which the Sakyamuni Buddha was born, enlightened, and entered into Mahaparinirvana. As the world continues to reel through COVID-19 pandemic, our societies have witnessed a surge in hatred, animosity, and pugnacious mindset. In this context, Buddha's timeless message of peace, compassion, coexistence, and harmony are more relevant than ever. He taught us the eternal rule that hatred does not cease by hatred, but only by love. He taught us about noble path to attain wisdom and virtue, the path of self-enlightenment. And Buddhism is about discovery of inner self and realization that inspires everyone to pursue the path of truth, compassion, peace, nonviolence, and forgiveness. These are the virtues that we desperately need today to make this world peaceful. And Nepal is proud of its spiritual tradition of Buddhism spanning over millennia. The government of Nepal is committed to preserving and promoting Lumbini, the birthplace of Lord Buddha, as the fountain of peace and as a holy site that has continued to attract historians, archaeologists, pilgrims, and tourists from around the world. The government of Nepal also organizes international Buddhist conference periodically to promote the Buddhism and the message of peace, truth, and nonviolence from the birthplace of Lord Buddha. To conclude, as we commemorate International Day of Vesak, may we be able to promote the Buddha within us, and let us commit to transform ourselves and our societies from within with the power of truth, love, and compassion. I thank you and happy Vesak Day.
I thank Ambassador Amrit of Nepal for his important remark. I now invite His Excellency Mr. Berhan Kaufu, Ambassador and Permanent Representative of Singapore to the United Nations, for his remark. Praise you.
Thank you very much, Excellency, venerable monks, excellencies, and dear friends. I'd like to extend my warmest wishes of goodwill to all of you and to all of our Buddhist friends around the world on this very special and auspicious Vesak Day. And I'd like to express my appreciation to my good friend, the permanent representative of Thailand, Ambassador Vitivas Sribihok, as well as the permanent representative of Sri Lanka, also my good friend, Ambassador Mohan Pires, for co-hosting this important event today. Today, we gather to honor the birth, enlightenment, and passing into nirvana of Lord Buddha. His messages of peace, harmony, tolerance, and compassion to all human beings are timeless and can be appreciated by people of all faiths. These core values are even more relevant today in the context of the COVID-19 pandemic. It is these timeless values of compassion and loving kindness which can and which will help us to prevail over the pandemic and work towards a better future. This important and sacred day in the Buddhist calendar is observed as an important religious day in Singapore. I'm not sure if you are aware, but the Buddhist community in Singapore is the largest religious group in our countries. And we are a multiracial and multi-religious population. And the Buddhist community represents 1/3 of our resident population in Singapore. And traditionally on Vesak Day, Buddhists in Singapore would visit their local temples to pray, meditate, participate in rituals, and make offerings. And of course, it is also an occasion for all Singaporeans to visit their Buddhist friends and partake in food and celebrations. This year, as with last year, the Singapore Buddhist community will be celebrating Vesak Day differently because of the pandemic restrictions. But in any event, it is a joyous occasion for the Buddhist community, but also for all Singaporeans. The Buddhist community in Singapore has made very important contributions to our nation by setting a tone of tolerance and acceptance and mutual respect of other faiths and cultures. The Buddhist community's numerous acts of benevolence towards their fellow Singaporeans, regardless of race, language, or religion, have contributed to strengthening interreligious harmony in Singapore. Buddhist leaders in Singapore also play an active role in our interfaith network. These contributions by the Buddhist community have enhanced community bonding, social cohesion, and resilience, as well as promoted interfaith understanding in Singapore. And the message of Buddhism is that people of different religions can live together as one in trust and harmony. In all our countries and societies, we need interfaith understanding and harmony to enable us to create cohesive and resilient societies and to collectively tackle the immense challenges created by the pandemic and many other global problems. Ultimately, we are all members of one human family, and we here have a responsibility to work together as representatives of our nation to the United Nations. We have a responsibility to work together to find solutions to global problems and to create peace and harmony and to protect our planet. I take this occasion of the Vesak Day commemoration to wish all of you and all our friends watching this event live a happy, peaceful, and blessed Vesak Day. Thank you very much, Ambassador.
I thank Ambassador Berhan for his important remark. I now would like to invite His Excellency Mr. Dak Din Kui, Ambassador and Permanent Representative of Vietnam to the United Nations, for his remark. For his
Thank you very much. Most venerable monks, Excellency, ladies and gentlemen, I'd like to thank Ambassador Vitavat, Ambassador Mohan, and their team for organizing this special event. I would also like to extend my warmest welcome to all venerable monks and participants to this event. And the past 5 years, several years, the world has seen multiple and complex threats and challenges, including COVID-19 pandemic, poverty, inequality, unemployment, environmental deterioration, conflict, and wars. Amid this suffering, the celebration of Vesak Day is a very good opportunity to remember Lord Buddha's teaching and messages. Lord Buddha's teaching and messages of living together in peace, harmony, compassion, nonviolence, and tolerance have moved millions of people, and they are not only factor of religion, but also a philosophy of life. In this, they also strengthen the respect for diversity and tolerance, which are essential in finding common ground and exploring possible solutions to the above-mentioned threats and challenges. To celebrate Lord Buddha's wisdom, we should continue to promote the core value of Buddhism, as well as strengthen the friendship and cooperation between and among people in culture. We should work together to bring the good value of Buddhism into reality. We should take action to renew our commitment to build a world of peace and development. Each of us should be a Buddha messenger, contributing to repelling conflict and suffering and creating nirvana in the real world. Let me conclude with his own words. Lord Buddha said, quote, "When you wish good for others, good things come back to you. It is the law of nature," end of quote. Thank you and happy Vesak Day to all of you.
Thank you very much, Ambassador Kui of Vietnam, for his important remark. With that, I pass the floor to my dear co-chair and colleagues, His Excellency Mohan Puris, for his remarks. Co-chair.
I'm sorry, I have unmuted myself now. Thank you, Ambassador. May I now call upon His Excellency Muhammad Koba, the Ambassador on Sashache of Indonesia, to speak a few words. Ambassador's floor is yours.
Thank you, Excellency.
Excellencies, venerable monks, distinguished guests. First of all, allow me to take this opportunity to thank Ambassador Vitavas Sirvihok, the permanent representative of Thailand, and Ambassador Mohan Ferris, the permanent representative of Sri Lanka, for keeping the spirit of Vesak Day in this very challenging moment when hate and intolerance are still present and even getting worse due to the pandemic. Unlike last year, when the International Vesak Day was postponed to the month of July due to the pandemic, we are grateful that this year we could convene it in May. I wish also to share my gratitude by extending my warm greetings to all Buddhist communities on this occasion of Vesak Day 2021 to commemorate Lord Buddha's teaching of peace, compassion, humility, and wisdom. For Buddhists around the globe, it is indeed a felicitous opportunity while commemorating the birth, enlightenment, and passing away of Gautama Buddha to celebrate his message of compassion and devotion to the service of humanity. Peace, understanding, and a vision of humanity that supersedes national and other international differences are essential if we are to cope with the complexities of the new normalcy. Excellencies, the observance of Vesak Day in virtual format may have had a different experience. By no means was it less meaningful. In Indonesia, every celebration had been put in halt, not to diminish the respect of the sacred days of every religion, but to protect the people, the communities, and the country. Even after more than a year, the pandemic still poses a great challenge for us. The virtual celebration would never make the celebration less meaningful. On the contrary, it had strengthened the collaboration and understanding, not only for Buddhists that observe the Vesak Day, but also for all the people around the world. We all can be inspired by Buddha's core teaching of compassion, understanding, and resilience that would become more important amidst the turmoil brought about by the pandemic. The timeless message of resilience is more important than ever. That will keep us strong and prevail over this challenging time. To quote Gautama Buddha, as an elephant in the battlefield withstands arrows shot from bows all around, even so shall I endure abuse. We must endure all the challenges. Endurance is one of the most difficult disciplines, but it is to the one who endures that the final victory comes. Once again, let us renew our commitment to stand together and show tolerance and compassion to all the people around the world as we face these turbulent and difficult times together. Happy Vesak Day. Thank you, Excellency.
Thank you, Ambassador Koba, for those gems of wisdom and the greetings you bring from Indonesia. Thank you. May I now call upon His Excellency Mrs. Hyunju Oh, the Ambassador and the Deputy Permanent Representative of the Republic of Korea to the United Nations to speak a few words.
Thank you, Ambassador. I'd like to thank the Permanent Mission of Thailand and the Permanent Mission of Sri Lanka for organizing today's meaningful event. I'm a Catholic, but I'm so honored to join you here today to celebrate the International Day of Vesak, together with the several hundred millions of Buddhists throughout the world. On a personal note, I was born into a Buddhist parents who truly believe in Buddhism and Buddhist teaching, but rarely went to the temples to practice Buddhism. But however, the Buddhism and Buddhist teachings have been with me and many Koreans in our daily lives. So it is a foundational spirit and deeply embedded in the Korean culture, as well as an important facet of our national identity. So through the spirit of rectifying faults, practicing righteousness within community, and treating each and every life preciously, Buddhism has helped to develop Korean society and served as a driving force to further establish our democracy. So today, in commemoration of Vesak Day, I would like to recall the sermon of Zen Master Songchul in commemorating the Buddha's birthday exactly 40 years ago. So Master Songchul was one of the most influential Zen masters in the history of our modern Korean Buddhism and highly respected by the Korean people. In his sermon, I'd like to share one of his the sermon. We shall look up all lives as if we look up to Buddha. We shall do the same to tigers, wolves, ants, and even flies, so that we even do not have to mention what to do between people. We are not able to find any existence which is not Buddha in this vast universe. So I'd like to share the Buddhist teaching as delivered by Songchul, and that is still continue to reverberate throughout the world in 2021, when the international community is going through a period of great challenges. So I hope that guided by teachings of Buddha, we can reach inner peace and simultaneously realize a sustainable peace of the Korean Peninsula, as well as harmony, cooperation, health, peace, and prosperity around the world. Thank you. Happy Vesak Day.
Thank you, Ambassador O, for those wonderful words where you endeavored to reconcile the spirit of Catholicism and the teachings of the Buddha, which perhaps I can sum up in one line: loving kindness. Thank you once again. Those words were really, it resonates, a message that we are longing for. May I now proceed to call upon His Excellency Ariel Rodeles Pereranda, the Ambassador and Deputy Representative of the Philippines, to speak a few words. Ambassador, the floor is yours.
Thank you, Excellency. Mr. President, Excellencies, most venerable monks, good morning. I wish to thank Ambassador Vitavas Srivihok, Permanent Representative of Thailand, and Ambassador Mohan Pieris, Permanent Representative of Sri Lanka, for co-hosting this important commemoration. Health is the greatest gift, contentment the greatest wealth, faithfulness the best relationship. The wise words of Buddha continue to resonate under these extraordinary circumstances. Today, the Philippines is honored to join the community of nations in celebrating the 2021 International Day of Vesak to commemorate the birth, enlightenment, and passing away of Buddha. Member states adopted the UN resolution in 1999, recognizing this important and sacred event. Consistent with its national policy of fostering interfaith dialogue, the Philippine government issued Proclamation 24, declaring the full moon day of May of every year as Vesak Day. Introduced in the Philippines between the 7th and 13th centuries, the Buddhist faith, the Mahayana tradition, is practiced today by some 2% of the country's 110 million population. We rank 20th in the world in terms of Buddhist population. For being comparatively small, the Buddhist community is among the most vibrant. It shows the easy inclusiveness of the Filipino society. For Filipinos, religious acceptance is at the core of our national character. We celebrate Vesak with a bathing Buddha to remind us to cleanse or purify ourselves through the 3 acts of goodness: think good thoughts, say good words, do good deeds. Excellencies, in line with the Culture of Peace agenda of the United Nations, the Philippines has partnered with Pakistan since 2004 in co-sponsoring an annual General Assembly resolution on the promotion of inter-religious and intercultural dialogue, understanding, cooperation for peace. Its premise is self-evident. Evil springs from ignorance. To know all is to forgive all. As we continue to nourish peace inside and around us in this time of COVID-19, may the teachings of Buddha continue to change our world into one of compassion, cooperation, and constancy, a world with balance, healing, and benign purpose. Together, we heal as one united nations. Have a happy and blessed Vesak Day. Thank you.
Thank you, Ambassador Penaranda, for that lovely message, which actually brought home the greater message that religious coexistence amongst our peoples in the world is fundamental to peaceful living. We are grateful for that message. Thank you. May I now give the floor to the Russian Federation and to Ambassador Dmitry Polyansky to speak a few words. Ambassador, the floor is yours.
Thank you very much, Ambassador. Venerable monks, excellencies, ladies and gentlemen. We have gathered here today thanks to our colleagues from Thailand and Sri Lanka to celebrate a sacred day for the millions of Buddhists around the world, Vesak Day. The highest importance of this day for the entire world was confirmed by the United Nations General Assembly in 1999, and not only due to the religious component, but also because of one of the major Vesak Days tradition, to abstain from using of any kind of violence and cruelty. These postulates could be found in the UN Charter, the document that was established with the aim to resolve conflicts and contradictions without the use of force. Buddhism takes an important place among other numerous religions in Russia. My country represents a unique experience of peaceful coexistence for centuries of Orthodox Christians, Muslims, Catholics, Protestants, Jews, and Buddhists, giving a positive example for many countries of the world. Spiritual values represent central pillar of this construction, which we preserve and enrich. Unfortunately, in the 21st century, many people on our planet live in materialistic world and often forget about spiritual values, those which served as cornerstones for humanity during last several thousands of years. In this regard, Buddha, being passionate himself with science, showed us a unique example of combination of spiritual and scientific development. Meanwhile, he always recommended his followers not to take his study for faith, but always to make researches. That is why Buddhism itself relies on logical reflections and experiments. One of the wisdoms of Buddhism is the striving to understand the real sources of our problems, with anger, hatred, rivalry, and egocentrism being the main ones. Another wisdom is the awareness that all the people on our planet constitute one big family. Such an assumption has been recently proven by COVID-19 pandemic, which became the problem of each and everyone. To conclude, let me remind you of one of the most famous Buddhist quotes. Conquer anger with non-anger, conquer badness with goodness, conquer meanness with generosity, conquer dishonesty with truth. That's how efficient diplomacy looks like. Let's all stick to this wisdom. May all beings be happy and free. I thank you for your kind attention and wish all of us a happy Vesak Day.
Thank you, Ambassador Polyansky, for those wonderful words and your reminder that we are one global family, that Buddhism emphasizes the reconciliation of spiritualism with scientific development and the need for a united planet. Thank you very much. May I now proceed to call upon the Ambassador for Bangladesh, His Excellency Monwar Hossain, the Minister and Deputy Permanent Representative, to make his presentation. Thank you. The floor is yours.
Thank you, Excellency, for giving me the floor. Venerable monks, Excellencies, ladies and gentlemen, it is my distinct honor to join this virtual celebration of the International Day of Vesak 2021. I would like to thank the permanent missions of Sri Lanka and Thailand for co-organizing this important event. This year's celebration has a special significance in light of the COVID-19 pandemic. Buddhism is the third largest religion practiced in Bangladesh, and Vesak Day is popularly known as Buddha Purnima in my country. Bangladesh will be celebrating this day tomorrow, 26th May. Every year, the day is observed throughout the country with due solemnity, ritual, and religious fervor. It is no longer an event for the Buddhists alone, rather a festival for people of all faiths, and has become an integral part of our culture. That spirit is best encapsulated in an oft-quoted statement by our Honorable Prime Minister Sheikh Hasina. I quote, "Religion is personal, but festivals are universal," unquote. The teachings of Lord Buddha have more relevance than ever as we seek spiritual solace and healing from the anxieties and sufferings from coronavirus. Lord Buddha's universal message of peace and harmony finds resonance in Bangladesh's propagation of a culture of peace at the United Nations. It also serves as a powerful catalyst to uphold the ideals of the UN Charter. Let us embrace his wisdom to unite in building back better a peaceful world. I thank you all and wish once again all our Buddhist friends around the world a very happy Vesak Day. Thank you.
Thank you, Minister Hossain, for that very short and precise presentation, which brought out the idea that the ideals of the UN are in complete harmony with the teachings of the Buddha. Thank you. May I now proceed to give the floor to the Deputy Permanent Representative of Pakistan, Mr. Mohammad Amir Khan. Mr. Khan, the floor is yours.
Thank you, Ambassador, for giving me the floor, and thank you to Ambassador Siri Vihok, Permanent Representative of Thailand to the United Nations, and Ambassador Pires, Permanent Representative of Sri Lanka to the United Nations, for organizing today's important event on the auspicious day of International Day of Vesak. I also wish to extend my congratulations to all the excellencies and my colleagues, and to the monks who are celebrating the Vesak Day today. The sacred day of Vesak offers an opportunity to reflect on the timeless wisdom of Buddha. It is indeed a day to commemorate his teachings of peace, compassion, humility, and wisdom, which are more relevant today as they were over 2,500 years ago. Born a prince, he rose above self-interest and went out into the world to help overcome human suffering and an inner peace as the path to harmony and peace among individuals, communities, and nations. The central teachings of Buddha on the fundamental equality of all peoples, regardless of status or circumstances or characteristics, are fully aligned with the principles and purposes of the UN Charter. His core message remains that of tolerance, empathy, and compassion. I wish to thank my colleague from Philippines for mentioning the partnership resolution of Pakistan and Philippines every year, which espouses principles and teachings of Buddha. These virtues can serve as an aspiration to us all as we confront a global pandemic and multiple global challenges. Lord Buddha also taught us the four sublime states, which are kindness or metta, compassion or karuna, sympathetic joy or mudita, and equanimity or upekha. In other words, we should learn to live peacefully, to sympathize, to share, to help, to forgive, to love, and to bring joy and happiness to others. Peace, understanding, and a vision of humanity that supersedes national and other international differences are essential if we are to cope with the complexities of our times. This philosophy lies at the heart of the Charter of the United Nations and the Universal Declaration of Human Rights. On this day of Vesak, let us renew our commitment to stand together as one humanity, show kindness and compassion to the most vulnerable, and truly leave no one behind as we face those turbulent and difficult times together. Happy Vesak Day. Thank you all.
Thank you, Minister Khan, for those words that clearly brought out the message that we are one humanity and tolerance and empathy was the need of the hour. Thank you. May I now give the floor to the Minister Councillor and the Deputy Permanent Representative of the Lao People's Democratic Republic, Mr. Wangze.
Thank you.
The floor is yours. Thank you.
Thank you, Your Excellency. Most venerable monks, excellencies, ladies and gentlemen. At the outset, on behalf of the permanent mission of the Lao PDR to the United Nations and the Lao people, I wish to extend our warmest greetings and best wishes to all Buddhist and non-Buddhist followers worldwide on this auspicious occasion of commemorating the International Day of Vesak. Allow me to join previous speakers in expressing our sincere appreciation to the permanent representatives of Sri Lanka and Thailand for co-hosting this meaningful event virtually. The Day of Vesak is the most sacred day to millions of Buddhists around the world, as it marks the three significant events in the life of the Lord Buddha: the birth, the enlightenment, and the passing away. The teachings of the Lord Buddha, particularly the middle path, the compassion and care for each other, have guided us to cope with challenges and overcome the sufferings that we may face in our daily lives, especially during this COVID-19 pandemic. Buddhism has played a very important role in various aspects of life and culture of most Lao people, especially in promoting non-violence, peaceful coexistence, morality, mutual understanding, and respect among people of various ethnic groups. I do hope that this year's commemoration would inspire all of us to further renew our resolve and determination to bring peace and harmony to humanity, to enhance global solidarity and international cooperation, and to live a noble life in the middle path, and to develop our minds to practice loving kindness, compassion, tolerance, and non-violence. I wish happy International Day of Vesak. Thank you, Excellency.
Thank you, Minister, for those wonderful words of wisdom. Really, the need for the world to traverse a middle path is perhaps the need of the day, and tolerance and balance. Thank you very much. Thank you. Now, Excellencies, is there any one of you who would wish to speak a few words, although you may not be on the list? There is already our good friend and our representative from Myanmar who wishes to speak a few words, and may I have the privilege of having him being heard by us on this very auspicious day of Vesak. The floor is yours, Excellency Kyo Mo Tun. Yes.
Thank you, Ambassador. Most Honorable Sangha, Excellencies, ladies and gentlemen, and Minglava. I wish to begin by thanking Ambassador Pires of Sri Lanka and Ambassador Sirvok of Thailand and their respective permanent missions for giving us this opportunity today to virtually commemorate the International Day of Vesak. I also like to thank all venerable monks for their Dhamma remarks. Vesak is a special time of prayer and an auspicious day to all Buddhists around the world. Vesak Day commemorates the birth, enlightenment, and passing nirvana of the Buddha. And on this occasion, we all reflect on his life and find as inspiration from his teaching. Taking this opportunity, today I wish to highlight 4 agadi of Buddha's teaching, which we call the 4 kinds of correction. We all try to be free from these 4 agadi corruption, namely Chanda agadi, only look for self-interest; Dosa agadi, having ill will; Moha agadi, having delusion; and Bahaya agadi, having fear. Buddha's teaching of peace, non-violence, kindness, compassionate help to others is more relevant than ever in this time of challenges and difficulties. On this auspicious Vesak occasion, Buddhists in Myanmar do good deeds such as offer food to monks, chant prayers, listen to sermons, and practice meditation. But I am somehow reluctant to state that because of the current tragic situation in Myanmar, I don't think my fellow citizens in Myanmar will have the opportunity to enjoy and celebrate this secret occasion to the fullest like they did in previous year. I would like to wish all people in Myanmar and all around the world good health, happiness, and peace. May this Vesak Day commemoration serve as an occasion to remind ourselves of importance of helping one another in need, loving kindness, good contact as enshrined in the Buddha's teaching. I wish peace, stability, and humanity prevail in Myanmar and all over the world. Sadhu, sadhu, sadhu. I thank you.
Thank you very much for those wonderful ideas. And we all hope and pray that peace will dawn in Myanmar very soon. It's our fervent wish. Excellencies, bear with me if I was to now present to you a very short written statement first by Archbishop Gabriela Cassia, our permanent observer of the Holy See to the United Nations. It's on screen. You will probably see that. His Excellency tells us that on the occasion of the Buddhist feast of Vesak, that he's pleased to convey his best wishes and for reconciliation on the planet. It is followed by a message by Miguel Engel Card Oyuso Gusio, who is the MCCJ President and the Pontifical Council for Interreligious Dialogue of the Vatican City, who has also been pleased to convey a message of reconciliation and good wishes to all the Buddhists in the world on this very auspicious occasion. Now, we have come to the end of these proceedings. Thank you very much for participating with us on this great day, perhaps the feast of love, of Maitri, of loving kindness. I hope we will take that away with us so that we will probably reflect that ethos in the work that we do in the United Nations. So may I close by addressing you very shortly. Venerable Mahasangha, Excellencies, ladies and gentlemen, I thank you for participating at this August event to commemorate a day that has much significance to the present challenges that we are all facing together. I hope you have received some form of peace, and these proceedings at least, through those proceedings at least for a little while that we spent together. I can sum it up by actually referring to a very simple stanza that sums it all. Sabba papasa akaranam, kusalasa upasampada, sachita paryoda panam, etham buddhanu sasanam, which simply means cease from all evil, cultivate good habits and good things, and purify one's mind. That is my wish for you. So I take this opportunity to thank my colleagues and friends and Ambassador Sri Vihok and his team at the Thai mission for all the cooperation extended in making this event a success. And of course, not to forget my own team here in the mission at Sri Lanka. With that wish, I would now wish to invite His Excellency Wittavas Sri Vihok, the permanent representative of Thailand, to make his closing remarks. Namo Buddhaya.
Thank you very much, my dear colleague and friend, Ambassador Mohan Piris, and thank all participants again for joining us today. We hope that with the compassion and solidarity in the world, we together will be able to overcome any challenges we face, including the COVID-19 and the pandemic of the mind. We hope to meet in person for the International Day of Vesak next year. And with this very happy conclusion, I wish you all stay in good health. Happy Vesak Day. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Vitabas and Mohan. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much. Thank you. Happy Vesak Day.
Thank you. Happy Vesak Day.
Thank you. Happy Vesak Day.
Yeah.